now to the newspapers. I'm joined on set by Catherine Viette, who's going to take us through the day's French front pages. Morning to you. We'll start off with French politics, always a favourite here in the French press. Of course, that controversial new law making it through Parliament, a big topic of conversation.
That's right. We're talking about this measure that, if passed, would allow the French government to strip citizenship from dual citizens here in France if they're convicted of terrorist activities. Now, Le Figaro is reporting this on its front page, that François Hollande has crossed his first hurdle. And that's a reference to the fact that the National Assembly yesterday did narrowly pass the measure by 118 votes. But of course, it does still have to go on and be voted on into the Senate. And so we move on to Le President, which is saying that, the vote may have a tough time in the Senate. It's not a done deal here. And it quotes an MP who says that the longer this process takes, the more painful it will be for the president, because he's kind of staked his reputation on this. And the paper is also asking the French public, should there be a referendum on this? Should we go to the French people to find out what they think? And out of the 5 people they polled in the paper, the majority say that, you know what, this is just a smoke and mirrors issue. And it's not that's one that's of pressing concern to most people. In fact, it's the economy and jobs that people are worrying about here.
This is, of course, something that's François Hollande, the president, staked his reputation on, isn't it? And we're expecting big announcements from the French president today, aren't we?
That's right. We've been kind of talking about this in the press review before, this big government reshuffle. There have been teases, some leaks in the paper, and apparently he's going to make the big announcement today. He's going to go on TV later tonight and say who's got which posts. And Le Figaro says that, this is an important announcement for the president because he's positioning himself for a re-election bid in next year's presidential election. And he's looking to shore up support with his picks, possibly sideline some of the more troublesome members of his party. The big position everyone is waiting to find out about is the foreign minister, Laurent Fabius, as we already heard yesterday, is moving on to head up the Constitutional Council, which makes sure that French laws are in line with the Constitution. Ségolène Royal possibly been tapped for that, but we'll just have to wait till tonight to find out.
Well, the Libération has been having a little bit of fun with this, haven't they? With Hollande's shopping list, as they're
That's right, yes. They've got this fantastic cartoon. It really made me chuckle when I took a look at it. And it says, the spring reshuffle, and there it shows the president with his little shopping cart as he's going down his mental checklist. He's saying 2 women with immigrant backgrounds, 1 from the left, 1 from the right, and oh gosh, I almost forgot, we need a little green, referring to the Green Party. Okay.
Keep the politically correct aspects in check there. Now, you were talking earlier about the former foreign minister, Laurent Fabius. He's saying farewell to his government post and taking up a new position.
Right, exactly. As I had just mentioned, he's moving on now to head up the Constitutional Council. So, of course, this is an opportunity for the French media to weigh in, on his career, how successful he was or not. So we have Le Figaro here reporting, as I said, on his career, and they're reporting on the balance between light, the good things that he did, like the Paris Climate Conference, and the shadow. So the Syrian crisis there sort of overshadowing his record. And the paper sort of, says his record has been mixed. He should be applauded for the Iran nuclear deal, even though he was at times accused of trying to torpedo it. But he stood firm, and the recent visit of the Iranian president is proof of his success in that, but says, the Syrian crisis not handled well. France underestimated the resilience of the regime, and then when the crisis erupted, and then overstated the abilities of the moderate opposition.
It's fair to say that few people have handled that crisis particularly well. Let's move on now to international news for a second. La Croix, they're reporting on this runoff for president in the Central African Republic.
Right. The second round of the presidential election will take place Sunday. It's between 2 prime ministers, and La Croix, the Catholic paper here, has a sort of special report on what's the mood like on the ground there going into these elections. And the paper says that at the moment, the country's in a state of kind of relative calm. The mood is swinging between hope and resignation, and that everyone's sort of on the lookout for small improvements. Says, however, that everyone knows the next president will have his work cut out for him, resurrecting a country that's largely been abandoned, and says everywhere you look, you can see the damage that's been done by the recent sectarian violence. And it finishes by saying that it's a fragile peace there, and help is needed, desperately needed, to drag the Central Africans from this nightmare that they've been living.
Okay, thanks for that, Catherine Viette. More, of course, from Catherine when she joins us again at 9:15. Paris time for the International Press Review.